afraid all the time? Are you afraid and you don't even really know what you're afraid of? Are you constantly anxious? Is life a constant battle? Um, is it all on your shoulders? It's all up to you. You're trying to figure it out. It's just too much. For most of my life, I lived like that. I worked so hard to do everything, and I was so vigilant, so worried about this, that, and the next. And in the beginning, I could name my fears. I could say I was afraid of, can I pay rent, or am I going to be safe? I could name my fears. But as I got older, I couldn't name my fears. In fact, I couldn't draw a border around it and say, I'm afraid of that, or this is fear. There was just this hum of slight fear about everything all the time. Somebody eventually told me that that's called anxiety. It was so common to me, I didn't even know there's a name for it, and I didn't even know that I wasn't supposed to live like that all the time. Now, no matter how difficult life gets, no matter how uncertain life gets, how not overwhelming, how busy and chaotic and unscripted life gets, I do not feel surrounded by fear anymore. Sometimes I notice fear approaching, and sometimes I realize that fear is here, sitting with me in my space. But I no longer am fear. I'm no longer consumed by fear, and I no longer listen to what fear incessantly tries to whisper at me. And what I wish for you is for you to learn how to make that shift. It took me a long time because I didn't know how, but it doesn't actually have to take a long time. If you're willing to do it and you understand what it is, then it's very simple. If you're following this channel and watching videos like this, then you understand that there is a true nature that you are. You are an eternal spirit, beautiful, perfect, one with everything, connected to life, sustained by life, not separate from anything. You are the ocean. But you are also an apparently separate physical being, living apparently separate, like the drop of water in the ocean. You're familiar with these concepts. What happens over the course of our lives is that we get lost in this identity as the drop of water. And the madness, because honestly it is madness, is that the drop of water takes on the mental burden of trying to figure out the entire ocean, of trying to battle all other drops of water. And that can never, ever, first of all, you can never win that. And secondly, you can never survive the angst, the fear, the dread of, oh, how can I navigate the ocean? Because you have become separate from it. What you simply have to do is return to the awareness of the fact that you are not a drop of water. You live as a drop of water, but you are not only and merely and solely a drop of water. You are the entire ocean. And what took me so long is that I tried to understand this. I tried to think about it. Let's take pen and paper and describe intellectually the difference between the separate self and the higher self, or the difference between the ego and spirit. And that's fine. I mean, if you want to write a book or do a video, that's fine. You can understand it. But in order to fix what was wrong with me, what is possibly plaguing all of you, probably plaguing all of you, you don't need to understand it. You don't need to describe it. You don't need to read books. You don't need to nothing. You just simply need to remember. Just feel it. I know it sounds silly when I say that even 1 second a day is a place to start, but if you can remember what it feels like, this thing called being with a capital B, sometimes called awareness, sometimes called the higher self, higher consciousness, Christ consciousness, the kingdom of heaven, whatever you want to call it. If you can just glimpse from that for 1 second, it is enough to remind you and to realign everything. For example, if you are an actor on stage and you get right into it, you get into your role, you get into the story, and you are into it, right? And you forget that you're acting and you start to respond to everything that's happening. How many seconds does it take for you? It only takes 1 second of you going, wait, audience, stage, script, director. Well, hey, I'm an actor. It only takes 1 second of that to snap you out of what you've gotten sucked into. If you are having a dream and you're absolutely overwhelmed in this dream, it only takes one split second of going, oh, right, dream, dream, for you to just step back. And the worst scenario in that dream just becomes, oh, right, okay, so I'm dreaming what now? That I'm being chased by killers? Okay. You immediately step back. So I have been posting recently very short meditations, 1, 2, 3 minute long meditations where you just simply experience being. And I encourage you to do that. Let's use the context of fear to help understand what I'm talking about. There is, like I said, fear, raw fear. It is large, strong, noticeable, definable. I am afraid of. And then behind that, you realize, wait, I'm afraid of traffic. I'm afraid of being late. I'm afraid of paying rent. I'm afraid of my safety. I'm afraid of my health. I'm afraid for my kids. I'm afraid. Behind that, there's just fear. Just fear. What I want you to recognize is that there is another behind that. Go a little bit behind that and realize there is me observing that. I observe the background fear and anxiety that exists perpetually in existence, and I observe the way it manifests into discrete forms of fear in life. But I observe it. And if you want to try to understand it, say, well, if I can see it rise, then I was here before it. That's the place I want you to rest in. So, Rupert Muji calls it being. Rupert Spira calls it awareness. Sri Ramana Maharishi calls it self-inquiry. Eckhart Tolle calls it observation, but when it comes to fixing fears and traumas in your life, he calls it transmutation. I do have a guided meditation on transmuting fears. You can look that up on the playlist. What you do is, here is the big monster in your life. You do not run from it or try to suppress it. That's what creates anxiety. You do not try to analyze it. Then it still dominates your consciousness. You observe it. Sitting in stillness, using your breath to strengthen your ability to drop all thoughts, choosing not to engage in thoughts, choosing not to engage in thoughts about what you're afraid of or what's overwhelming you. Sit in the state of simply being. Drop every thought that comes for 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 minutes, however long you're doing this practice, and observe the fear. Do not think about the fear. Do not try to define it. Do not try to figure out where it started from. Do not notice that it's the same fear that your mother had. Do not. Because that is that layer of consciousness trying to suck you back in. The thought about what you're trying to fix is also thinking. For a few minutes or for 1 minute, a few times every day, observe. Just simply be witnessing presence. Just witness it. Let's do it together for for 1 minute, right? Whenever you notice that you're thinking or thinking about thinking, just simply take a breath, focus on your breath, focus on the feeling of your breath, and slowly blow away the thoughts. And then observe. Observe thoughts falling like rain. Observe the vibrating anxiety. Observe the heart rate. Observe it, but do not think about it. Just simply witness. Can we do this for 1 minute together? Breathe away those thoughts. Breathe away those thoughts. Choose not to think them. Just choose not to think them. Breathe them away. Nope, I will not finish that sentence. Nope, I do not need to think that thought. Nope, just breathe it away. Breathe it away. Whew, it is good to breathe. I am. I am aware. I am aware of the things I hear. I am aware of the things I see. I am aware of the feelings. I am aware of the thoughts. I am aware of the tension. I am aware. 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 I am awareness. Notice that when you refuse to finish the thoughts that arise, your awareness goes back to this sort of tense uncomfortableness in the physical form. Refuse to engage in that. Refuse to even feel that anxiety right now. Now's not the time. Sink back again and observe it. And sink back again and observe it. If you feel boredom, sink back and observe the boredom. If you feel frustration, sink back and observe the frustration. Keep going back and back and back until you realize everything is occurring to you. I observe everything. And nothing really touches you. It's like clouds that form in the sky. You're none of those clouds. You're the sky. You're the sky. If you wipe away all the clouds from the sky, there isn't a cloud. There isn't a shape or form. There isn't moisture, air, nothing. There's just sky. You are the space in which it occurs. There is peace when you dwell there. There is peace, enough peace to get you through life in a more graceful way, just by visiting there every now and then. I hope this video is helpful. I hope this series is helpful. Please leave a comment and let me know what you think, or if there's something else or some aspect of this you want me to talk about. I promise you that I'm working on guided meditations. I know the meditations I do here have ads in them. There's nothing I can do about that, but I am making tracks for you. I am trying to create visual aids for you. I really want you to understand this because it can change your life fundamentally and forever. Thank you for being with me on this journey, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful day.